Okay, so this is the ticking sound which we get very used to since the day we are born. Why is that? This ticking sound is of your life ticking clock each day. You know, as we born, we have been handed with a script of life, which says at your 20s, you are at your prime. At your 30s, you are holding back your darling life. And at your 40s, you are counting your symptoms as souvenirs. If you think that, at 40s, the symptoms, what are the symptoms? Or at 30s, what are the symptoms? Let's talk few symptoms. Number one, having that knee pain. Number two, forgetting to pick, when you enter a room, you forgot suddenly that what you came for. Number three, the brain fag. Number four, that 3 p.m. crash. These are few of the symptoms which you feel, right? It's very funny that how we take our body and we consider our body as a carton of milk. Why do I say that? You see, on the carton of milk, there is always an expiry date mentioned. And we assume that our body has an expiration date. Our body is supposed to break down. Our body is supposed to get tired. And we believe it so confidently that we do not look for any other alternative. But my dear friends, your body, our body is not a milk carton box. It doesn't have an expiration date. It is a smartphone. Why do I say this? Our body, which is marvelous, it is the most dynamic system. It is the most highest process software which we have in our body. Our body is the giant mechanism, a giant machine which has so many tiny internal softwares going on. And you cannot replace your body with any other thing. You cannot replace your system with any other thing in the world. But still, what we do, we kind of don't care so much. When your phone drops down, the screen breaks. What do? We change the screen. When our phone, the apps get damaged, what do? We install new apps. When our phone, the battery gets discharged by 10% or so, we immediately rush and charge the battery. But do we do same with our body? We don't. When the body gets fatigued, which can be a kind of a low power, we assume that it's a problem, and then we move on with life. We don't care. We pop a pill, we proceed. We get brain fag, again, we pop a pill, we proceed. We have some body ache, we pop a pill, we proceed. Ignoring everything and putting everything in a box. But let me tell you that this ticking clock is a myth. I myself always used to believe about the ticking clock concept. I myself used to believe that, okay, the life is wearing and tearing, and that is what his life is. I used to believe it so much in my clinic, in my daily life. I'm a founder, right? And I build business. So when I build business, I get exhausted. But exhaustion I never took as a warning. I wore it as a badge of pride. I'm exhausted. I was always surrounded with men and women who are highly high-performing men and women. Who can go work day and night, who are high skillful. But these men and women who had exceptional talent, who had access of brilliant apps, who could buy amazing diet plan for themselves, they were still running on caffeine, having brain fog, and kind of running empty behind the doors. Funny, right? And that's how the wellness trap comes in the picture. Now, when you face these kind of problems, you get into a wellness trap. Now, what is it? You might pop up some pill. Maybe somebody will tell you that, ye supplement kha lo. Maybe somebody would tell you that this is a wellness ritual I'm following, why don't you do that? And we kind of start doing that. We listen and we start following that without thinking much. It's very important to know that being alive is not just being functional. It's about being thriving. It's about how you are living your life. So all of this, the problem of living longer, the disease which we catch most often, and kind of course, we don't do anything, we let it go. I'll just ask a question a little bit. What do we think that, what is our year? Like, how much years are we going to live? If I ask anyone, maybe we'll look at our parents, maybe we'll look at our grandparents, and we'll say that maybe 70, doctor, 60, 80 probably, right? But if you look at your ancestor, let's say your dadi, nani, whoever, जिनको calculate करके आप अपना 80, 90 age बता रहे हो, let's say you lost them because of cardiac arrest or any kind of cancer or anything, right? But let's say the science has advanced so much. Now you have crossed that. You don't have any cardiac problem. You don't have any cancer. You don't have any other lifestyle disease. You add 10 more years in your life. The 80 becomes 90. The 90 becomes 100. And now let's say the science is more advanced. You have found all the cure of all the disease. Now what happens? The 100 becomes 110 or might be 120. The problem here is that we have been so much deeply, because we look at our ancestor history, we assume and we plan according to that. We assume that we are going to live till 60, till 70, and our life starts becoming like that. For an example, we'll start working on insurance, life insurance. We'll plan on giving the things to the kids. We will plan that how the trust will move. All of the planning happens because in our head, we have already planned, this is going to be my age. And this is the time I might die, right? Let me explain you that how our cell, how our body, which gets corrupted and how you come out of it. When you see this little glass over here, let's assume that this is your cell environment, which is clear, absolutely clear. Now let's say we add a little bit of bad lifestyle. Now a little bit of unhealthy diet. Now a little bit of lack of sleep. Did you see the color get changed? This is what happens inside your cell. And then you are given a pill which would not clear the cell, which would stop you to think about this cell. Longevity flushes out this water. It clears the cell. That's how longevity works. How? When you push more water, fresh water into it, it'll flush out and become clear. Why I'm saying all these things? Where does it land? I am saying all these things because you need to take care of the cellular health. You need to take care of what's happening inside your body. I mean, a medicine here, a temporary lifestyle fix there would not fix your life permanently. Eventually, you will catch up your lives, your genetics, your epigenetics, which would show up. And we do not want that. I always say that aging is about the gap of information. Now, what is this? I'll explain. A lack of information, which is maybe there are a lot of things to know. For an example, your cell has a battery, which is called a mitochondria. And that delivers energy, which is called a ATP. ATP is the energy. And the ATP, the mitochondria, decide that how fast you are going to recover, which disease you are going to get cured, how much energy your body will have. Funny thing, the mitochondria needs sunlight. It needs infrared lights. It needs a lot of oxygen. Now we'll say, Dr. Deepika, oxygen, we always breathe. We do have a lot of oxygen. But again, interesting thing here is that as we age, our cell doesn't absorb all the oxygen. And that is why we need to exercise to push in the oxygen into our cells. And that's why there are so much of longevity stuff coming out, whether it is VO2 max, whether it is, various kind of hyperbaric treatments. This is the lack of information, one part of the lack of information. Now there is over-information, which is that you knowing that, okay, my ancestry, my parents had diabetes, at this age, 40, 50, I also might get it. Which is like that my dadi, nani, they died at this age, I might also die. So you're automatically channelizing your brain, you're adjusting your brain, you're continuously telling your brain the same thing. So that is over information. That is why I always say that aging is an information gap, isn't it? So, well, just to consolidate everything together, I would want that when you leave from here, please stop thinking about the expiration date. Peel that out and throw it in the dustbin. And rather start thinking that how I'm going to live. Rather start thinking what I'm going to build. Who am I going to love? What would I lead if my body always supports me? Ladies and gentlemen, you can see the check light dashboard. It's not an alarm. You still have the guarantee period going on of your computer, of your phone. Now the pen is in your hand and you can rewrite the code anytime you want. And that's the end of my speech. Thank you so much.
Dr. It was a pleasure listening to you. Thank you. Thank you so much for inspiring us.